Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of AI Web3 Careers. I'm your host, Ade Molajo, an ecosystem builder in the Web3 and AI space. And today I'm joined by Kane. Kane leads business development for Palisade, which is a full spectrum digital asset custody provider. He's been involved in the blockchain and digital assets space on and off in a professional capacity since 2016. He worked at a company called R3, which was a consortium of banks exploring the potential benefits that blockchain could bring to the financial services space. This later evolved into the development of an enterprise-grade private permissioned blockchain platform called Corda. In this role, he had the opportunity to engage with a number of stakeholders from small startups building decentralized applications to banks and central banks looking to incorporate these applications. He then left in 2022 and decided to dive slightly deeper into the crypto space, landing at an institutional grade digital asset custodian. He was there for around 9 months, after which he took a career break and embarked on a few passion projects in Ghana. He then rejoined the industry at the beginning of 2024, where he became the first BD team member at Palisade, who are building a fully comprehensive, highly composable digital asset custody solution for developers all the way to institutional clients. Kane, good to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and thank you very much for having me on the show, Ade.
Absolutely. My first question to you, Kane, is about your background. Struggling to stand out in the AI and Web3 job markets? There's nothing wrong with your CV. Sign up to my newsletter using the link in the description and receive a free smart job hunting guide. Leverage my step-by-step method to unlocking the network you didn't know you had so that your resume stands out and you can land that interview fast. And your journey. What drew you to business development within the digital asset space?
Okay, I think I can tell my story in two parts actually. I think it's the story of why I first entered the space, and the second's about why I stayed. So the
Sure.
first, why I entered the space. Well, I was already made aware of Bitcoin in 2014, 2015 onwards with various friends. There was various, shall we say, outlets in that time period, which I was made aware of, and aware of Bitcoin be used as a currency. But it was actually my dad who first demonstrated to me how blockchain could be leveraged in a more professional capacity. I started doing my So I started doing my own research, and I saw how blockchain could potentially create this new internet of value and the various potential applications of this nascent technology. And then that led me to interning at a company called R3, as you mentioned. That at the time was essentially a bank-led incubator accelerator program where we were testing out various potential blockchain use cases in financial services and seeing where Bitcoin could be applied to improve existing financial services. I was interned there for a couple of years in the north and dipped my toe a bit more into Bitcoin investing, etc. And then now that leads me on to why I stayed in the industry. So I actually was studying law at university.
Okay.
And I was in an IP law lecture with my first IP law seminar. And as part of the first exercise, the seminar leader essentially said, "Oh, what does everyone do in their spare time? What keeps everyone ticking?" And at the time, I was interning at R3, and I said, "Oh, I work for a blockchain company." And this was meant to be a passing comment, and it actually turned into a 50-minute discussion where my seminar leader took the position of why he didn't believe in blockchain technology. And I, of course, took the opposite position of where I saw this technology go. And over the course of the discussion, that was, I guess, my light bulb moment where I said to myself, "Oh, this is something I want to be in. I wanted to be in the forefront of this new change and and I saw myself being in a position where I could build something of value. And
Yes.
at the end of my law degree, was able to get a full time position at R3 in business development role, and
Nice.
the rest is history, as they say.
Very nice. Yeah, very interesting journey from internship to landing your first BD role at an enterprise company. Yeah, very nice. And in your current role, can you describe the responsibilities you have as a digital assets business development manager?
Yeah, so I mean, in my role, as I mentioned, I'm the first person, the first business development person at Palisade, and as such, my role is to oversee, I guess, all commercial aspects of the business, mainly focused on expanding our market reach and fostering partnerships. So the primary objective is to drive growth by connecting with potential clients and partners who can benefit from our digital asset custody solution. On a day to day, that involves selling. That's a large part of the
Mm,
business, and that's articulating our custodial solution to mainly institutional customers. So
yeah.
one of the things that Palisade can do is we can hold the private key for users who maybe institutionally they require someone else to hold the assets of the private key on their behalf. Or maybe it
Yeah.
could be a customer that just doesn't, with less crypto experience, and
Hmm.
wants someone to manage that responsibility on their behalf. We are able to
Yeah.
facilitate that due to technology and also due to regulation as well. Also, we have a non-custodial solution, so being able to articulate the value of that. On that side, we have wallet as a service product. So
Hmm.
for clients building Web3 games, or if you're building a DeFi protocol, I can offer that, and that can be integrated seamlessly into your product, and it
Yeah.
allows a developer of that ilk to focus on building out their core product without having to worry
Hmm.
about wallet infrastructure. And then we're also in the process of launching our passkey solution as well, which aims to simplify the login process. As we all know, you have to remember
Hmm.
seed phrases and stuff like that ilk in the crypto space. So
Yeah.
passkeys aims to simplify that by logging through social logins and using biometric authentication. So
Hmm.
eliminating that process. And then
Okay.
also, apart from sales, there's a lot of partnership stuff as well. So
Mm.
other crypto native partnerships, so collaborating with protocols and exchanges, and to integrate our services and expand their offerings.
Hmm.
And non crypto natives, and maybe academic partnerships and stuff of that ilk, to educate people and to provide sort of that private education, I guess. And then
Yeah.
lastly, growth initiatives.
And this is all B2B. You're working with other organizations. You're not working with individuals who are looking for someone to help them hold their keys.
Yeah, this is strictly enterprise and completely enterprise offering to an institutional.
Yeah.
Sometimes we will talk to a business who may be offering wallets to their end users, but we would
Yeah.
only engage with the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. And when you look at the industry trends, what are some of the most exciting ones that are developing that you're seeing in the space right now? And how do you see these trends shaping the future of the industry?
Yeah, great question. So I think that one of the most exciting things we're seeing in the industry right now is the tokenization of real world assets. And I mean, I guess it's at the forefront of everyone's minds right now. The creating digital representations of physical assets and allowing them to
Hmm.
be traded and exchanged on in a decentralized and transparent manner. Now, the beauty of tokenization is that we're seeing it a lot more of the tokenization of of assets we typically find, such as equities and bonds. But I think the real
Yeah.
beauty is when we start to see the the potential of everyday assets and everyday items that wouldn't necessarily been considered tradable or might have been more
Hmm.
illiquid, and allowing for those to be tokenized. So
Yeah.
the example, so when I'm traveling and I'm talking to potentially a cab driver about what I do and where I see the future, I say imagine a future where a cab driver can tokenize his cab, and he can sell a portion of his cab to raise funds and for improvements, etc. Right now, I'd have to go get a loan from a bank, but instead he could just
Yeah.
he could sell 5% of his cab, and
Hmm.
and investors, either retail or institutional, could buy a token, owning a part of that,
Hmm.
and also getting a share of his earnings. And this could all be done on a blockchain, and this would ensure high accessibility, transparency, and liquidity of that. You could also
Yeah.
then go further and incorporate that into a wider portfolio. So a retail investor could incorporate those earnings, and then you could also have a portion of artwork,
That's
music,
right.
real estate, etc.
Hmm.
Combine that all together, and then that just creates a so much more diverse range of investment opportunities.
Yeah. And how far away do you think we are from RWA of cabs and things like artwork and music?
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing stuff in the artwork, music space. It's still
Hmm.
relatively early from my future utopian vision, but
Yeah.
we are definitely getting closer. I think that I think that regulation is going to play a huge part on this. But all this is just the creation of more and more markets, and we're going to see more and more blockchain applications being created that can satisfy and demystify these markets.
That's right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And when you're dealing with real world assets at Palisade, is that things like shares that are traded on the stock exchange at the moment, or which RWA are you focused on today?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot in Palisade. Real estate is a
Hmm.
really big one at the moment. So we're seeing it in sort of, let's say, markets such as the UK, but also alternative markets, maybe in Albania, maybe Colombia, where
Yeah.
people are acquiring portfolios of real estate and able to tokenize that and then issue that
Hmm.
on their exchanges, and then that gives access to a plethora of global people to be able to access this and incorporate that into their
Yeah,
portfolio, diverse things that they wouldn't necessarily have been able to have previously.
exactly. And when you think about challenges, how do you capitalize on these challenges and turn them into opportunities today?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. I think that the main challenge is that when you're talking to a lot of people, to the various stakeholders, which is also very exciting, that they don't understand crypto. So it gives you the
Mhm.
opportunity to educate these various stakeholders on digital assets and crypto, and articulate the value proposition in different ways. So again, talking to that cab driver example, it's talking to someone who may have just heard crypto here and there on the news, seeing a couple of meme coins, but now you can really explain to them what the future vision. And
That's right.
crypto can be very difficult to understand. Intricate. It can be difficult for newcomers to grasp. And as a BD professional, it's my job to demystify these complexities and articulate that
Hmm.
value proposition more effectively.
Exactly. And I guess that leads us very well into the next question. What are some of the strategies that you've successfully implemented in business development?
Yeah, so I think in terms of strategies, it's about creating sort of a very tailored value proposition for people. So when I'm talking to someone, if I'm talking to the CFO of a company, for instance,
Hmm.
they speak a very different language to the CTO of a company
That's right.
or the head of compliance. So it's important to, I guess, craft your messaging to really
Hmm.
suit the persona that you're talking to, and ensure that you're hitting their pain points and really getting to what keeps them up at night, rather
That's right.
than talking a different language to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not one size fits all, right? You might be talking to a CFO of the company one day, the next meeting you're talking to a BD person, but then the next meeting maybe you're talking to their CEO, and they all have different pain points. Even though it's from the same solution you're selling to them, you need to make sure that you're telling them how this solution is going to alleviate their pain points and make their lives a bit easier.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And as I said, it's about talking about the value proposition from their perspective. So I mean, for custody, the driving force for custody is safeguarding assets. But as you mentioned, for a head of compliance, it's they have more concerns about AML, KYC. A CFO might have the same concerns, but might be more concerned about managing their treasury. So it's about really helping them understand how what you're providing for them benefits them specifically.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's important to be mindful of that because a lot of people think about sales and they think it's something seedy. You're just trying to shove something down the potential client's throat, but actually, what you're doing is you're coming to it from a much more consultative angle, and you're saying, "I know here's the problem you have, and I'm trying to help you solve it." How important
Exactly.
is regulatory compliance? I know you touched on this a bit when you were talking about dealing with a compliance officer, but how important is regulatory compliance in your strategy?
Yeah, so it's at the forefront of everything we do actually. So again, especially speaking to our institutional clients, they refuse to operate within a grey area of regulation. They need
Mm,
regulatory clarity. So one of the first things we did as an organization was get regulated. We got regulated as a virtual asset service provider, registered in France. We're
mm,
actively exploring regulation in other jurisdictions as well, where we see a need and an opportunity. And we will continue to do so because, as I mentioned, that
mm.
regulatory clarity brings understanding and will only allow for the industry to grow further and for wider adoption for the future vision that I mentioned.
Exactly. And in this quickly changing space of Web3, how do you make sure that your skills are kept up to date?
Yeah, so there's various things, and I think the easiest thing to do. So there's no one size fits all policy with regards to like the skills that are necessary and how to keep up to date. Uh,
Yeah.
for to keep up to date, like me personally, I like to listen. So I think that's actually one of the most important skills for a BD person is actually not talking;
Mhm.
it's listening. You have to hear what the market is telling you, what your prospects and clients are telling you, and then that's how you drive innovation and drive what you're building. Take for example, our passkey solution that we're building. That was
Mhm.
the result of us going out into the market, talking to people, figuring out what the pain points were. And one of the pain points that we heard was onboarding new users, people, especially retail users, not understanding, losing their seed phrases, having to not trying to call up and be like, oh, I don't know how to access my wallet.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
needed to simplify that. We needed to build something to simplify that problem and to help onboard the next billion users onto crypto. So after speaking internally, we decided, okay, this passkey solution is what the market is telling us they need right now. So listen is critical. And then
Yeah. And King, what would you tell your younger self if you had the opportunity to speak to him?
I would tell my younger self to constantly keep learning. It's
Mm.
no don't stagnate. So I like to listen to a lot of crypto podcasts. I like to keep up to date in Telegram groups, on Twitter. I like to read books and not just crypto books as well. There's a plethora of development books, sales books, business books, etc. That once you stop studying in formal education, the learning doesn't stop there. even formal
100%.
education, even formal education, there's no, it's never too late to continue. And
Hmm.
I'm a massive advocate of continuous learning and continuous self improvement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't have put it better. I'm sure that the listeners have gotten so much from you. I mean, you've given them so many words of wisdom today. If they want to get a hold of you on social media, how can they do so?
Yeah, so you can contact me on LinkedIn. Be active in the direct messages there. So you can find me. My name is Kane Aidoo Williams on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's probably the easiest way to get in touch.
Yeah, perfect. Kane, thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, from one BD person to the other, I've thoroughly enjoyed this session and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much for having me.